Okay, everyone, good afternoon. As Joanne mentioned, my name is Jennifer Stansky, and I'll be presenting the webinar and demo on today's NetSuite CRM. So just to set the expectation, this is a two-parter series. I don't know if any of you had the opportunity to join us the other week, but for the other portion of this that we won't be going into today, we do cover the opportunities, the leads, quotes, down to the sales order. So this portion is going to be focused on marketing, so we might even give you a few minutes of your hour back. Okay, so just a little bit about NetSuite to start, and then we'll go ahead and jump on into the software itself. NetSuite is a fully integrated cloud ERP solution, and that gives you that real-time visibility across your entire business. It does allow companies to store all of their business information in one single location. And with the relationship database structure, it allows use of the overall process with those easily generated dashboards, reports, and searches. Because it's a cloud solution, it also saves us the hassle of the maintenance and integrations, and also is quickly and easily accessible from any browser. So it was founded in 1998 and was the first cloud ERP solution, and that just means for us, we have that better user experience as NetSuite's able to continue that focus on making things better. Okay, so NetSuite is a single data source, and so as a company, there is just that one software that is capable of housing all aspects of your business. This does make your analytics much easier as they're all stored within the same place. And of course, less software means less upkeep, less integrations, and then less troubleshooting. It is configurable and highly customizable, and it ensures that it can fit your business needs down to even the terminology in the system. It is a SaaS model, software as a service for that acronym, and hosted over the internet, meaning that you can log in from anywhere. So NetSuite CRM does incorporate a full view of processes from marketing, lead customer management, Salesforce automation, all the way to your customer support and case management. Again, that customer support and case management is also covered in the other webinar that we have. There is recordings of that on our website, and we will be hosting that again shortly. So now let's get into the topic of today's webinar, the marketing portion of NetSuite CRM. I'm going to go ahead and log into NetSuite. And right now I am in the US Marketing and Sales Manager role, and this is in our demo environment. So you'll see the name Gil and all of that demo information throughout the system today. So there are extensive marketing campaigns and promotional capabilities that can assist when you're trying to find new customers, you're going for that repeat business, or overall just increasing your sales. And the campaigns that are targeted and personalized allow us to see the ROI in real time for our campaigns within the system. There's also the capabilities of using upsell and cross-sell functionality based on the past sales history, or perhaps if you have overstock or clearance items. And of course, we also have multiple discounting options with volume pricing and customer-specific pricing in NetSuite. So as we're in our sales and management role, this role that we're looking at right now, it does come standard in NetSuite, but you can see how you'd easily be able to break this out if you needed to in a separate role for a marketing manager versus a sales manager. Because those are defined in the native roles, it's not so much of starting that role from the basis, you kind of have a nice foundation for it. So the first thing we're going to do is look at our dashboard here. Again, this is our sales and marketing manager role. So up at the top, our reminders are set to things that are important for us. Maybe customers that need to be billed, event invitations we need to respond to, and tasks. Just like any of the dashlets here in NetSuite, with our reminders up at the top right, we can change and adjust these by clicking on those right three corner bars. Let me go back for just a second so you guys can see that. Your right three corner bars and clicking on setup here and your reminders portlet. And you at that point in time can go ahead and add anything new that you have in here. Of course, that green C means that it's a custom screen you have that you want to set up the reminders for or search. The next thing I want to take a look at real quick, again, very specific to our marketing and sales manager, is the key performance indicators here on the left. So you can see that these are stuff that only us in that role would be interested in, perhaps. Of course, our sales, but more importantly, the new leads that are coming in for this month, maybe versus last month, our active campaigns, subscribers, and even down to your website hits and web orders that you can monitor right here. So next I want to go down and look at some of these native dashboards as well that we can set up in here. So I'm going to take a look at this one called Campaigns by Profitability. Again, first thing when you're logging in the morning as a marketing manager, you want to see what's working for your company. So this is a great way at this dashboard to look at everything by category. You can sort by category. Again, you can, with your little pencils here, if you have a pencil, you can actually edit this right in here if you need to. But you have your start date of your campaigns, your end date, the total costs, and your expected revenue. And of course, you have the ability to directly go in and edit or view this campaign from your dashboard, as well as add notes if necessary. So when we're doing something like a campaign within the system, the first thing that we want to do is define who we're marketing to. And in order to do that, we're going to use what NetSuite calls customer groups. So I'm going to go ahead and dive in and show you how easily we can set these groups up so it can help you really structure and organize your marketing. So we're going to go under our home page right here, and under our navigation portlets. By the way, I might want to mention this here. We have two navigation portlets in this role. We have both our marketing and our sales and operations navigation portlet. We're going to be using this marketing one for the bulk of today. So under our customers row, we're going to go on into groups right here. And I'm going to go down and I'm going to hit edit here next to our customers who purchased iPads group, because I want you guys to see the full capabilities of this record and how we can set anything, any customer group up here and tailor it specifically to what we need. So the first thing to understand about groups is we can have a dynamic group in NetSuite, or we can have a static group. Static just doesn't change. But the dynamic groups have conditions that we can set and update in real time. So we can base these, as I'll show you in a second, on saved searches or anything like that, which means you're really expanding your abilities to use this as a dynamic, constantly changing group. As the market changes, so can your targets. Okay, so going through this, we're just going to kind of go step by step. Of course, we wouldn't name this to what we needed it to be. This one is very self-explanatory with customers who purchased iPads. From that name alone, we can tell that we've probably set this up on a saved search. And as you can see right here in this field, we in fact have. So this is a search that we based for this example on our sales history, what customers have purchased from us before. And again, I'm sure when you guys are just thinking right now, you can see how that would really help you to target future groups based on what they've bought in the past. So we'll go back to the save search functionality in a minute and look at that in more detail. But now let's go ahead and scroll down and look at our members. So we have all of the members here that are saved search returned, and they're members, of course, of our group. You can see over to the right, we do have that ability to change to see the more members or see the ones in the that aren't showing on just the first screen. We, of course, have the settings, and we could customize this view to see what we wanted here. We also have the ability within this customer group record to attach files, notes as well. And then I'm going to go ahead and jump on the Campaigns tab. And the Campaigns tab will link any campaign that you have associated with this customer group automatically. So this has only got one here in the system, but you can see that this is a campaign that we have linked with this group in the past. Now let's go back and look at that saved search in more detail. We could, at this point in time, just directly from the customer group record, create an entirely new saved search if we wanted to. And by doing that, we would just click on that new plus sign, or we can open the existing saved searches. So we're going to do that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and expand this screen. So I've just opened the one that was selected, but if nothing was selected there, we would have been able to open a menu and select from our saved searches the one we wanted to apply. And again, I'm going to click Edit within this search so we can really see what our full capabilities are. So on a saved search, we would begin with our criteria tab. And our criteria for this is going to be the items that have been purchased. If I click on this first line of my criteria, the way I added these in the description was simply clicking on this box next to it. And by clicking on our double down arrows here, I could add more items if I wanted to at this point, or I could take them away. But this is how I added to say, only these items that people purchase do I want to involve in this group. You could also have a summary type here, which would allow you to use averages, maxes, mins, things like that, counts and sums for the criteria. Okay, in our results tab, you can see that we have chosen the fields that we want to show. So if we think back for a minute, actually, I'll just go ahead and minimize. If I look down here and I can see the fields that apply to each of these, the group members, if you will, those fields can be seen right here when I pull that search back up. Name, email, office phone, et cetera, et cetera. So if there's custom fields that you want to be able to show, you can easily do that with your results tab. Highlighting, this is just literally if you want to say, I want to highlight those ones who meet certain conditions. Maybe they fall in a certain region, something like that. You could use those highlighting abilities here. You can set filters just like in Excel. If you want to filter certain things out, and your search title just allows you to really put in those different search titles for different languages. Okay, so now that we've looked at that, I did mention that these, if I didn't, I apologize, that these are very similar to our saved searches to pivot tables. A lot of the conditions that we have with our criteria and results are very similar to things that we would see in Excel. And just to prove that, when you're in your saved searches, there is a wonderful button called Pivot Report. So for those of you Excel fanatics, if you haven't used this before, I urge you to. If you click on that pivot table button, you will have, of course, it's going to give me a hard time right now, but you will have the ability to pop a screen up that allows you to see everything in a pivot table form. Let's try this one more time. My browser just might not be set to pop up. Okay, well, if you try that on your own and you set your browser to pop-ups, you will see something that looks just like the pivot table options in Excel and allow you to really twist and manipulate the data how you want. But that's how we've set up our group here, our customer group, and that's how we decided what the criteria is to base the members on it, is by our saved search. So if you can go in and your free time and play around with that a little bit, I'm sure you'll be able to see all of the potential out there for really narrowing down customer groups for your marketing campaigns into whatever detail you'd want. So this is a good segue now to go into our campaigns. Again, the campaigns are something that we would attach to those customer groups and any marketing campaigns within your system. As NetSuite does allow for multiple options there. So to do this, we're going to go ahead and go back to our home page and back to that navigation portlet we talked about earlier. And I'm going to go to our campaigns under campaign setup. So our campaign records, we can schedule when events are sent. We can select the group recipients or the customer groups. We can record our overhead costs, and we can add information about that campaign. And when you think about this, I'd like you to think big in terms of anything you might want as the marketing department to report on. I would suggest definitely including it here. Just to point out, NetSuite does allow you to track anything from direct mail, in email, paid searches, as well as referrals and website hits. So we'll go ahead and look at one of these a little closer. I'm just going to go ahead and grab this email monthly newsletter. And again, so we can see those full capabilities, we've opened this onto or in edit mode. So up here at the top, we can see that we can track our base cost and expected revenue, as well as defining our date. So this is where we put that base cost in that the campaign is costing us. If you have something like an email newsletter and it's not costing you anything, definitely record that, because it's going to be a part of your future formulas that go into all of your calculations that the system does. We can also, scrolling down a little bit here, we can have categories, in the top portion. So if you want to roll some of these campaigns up into one category so you can report on that entire category, that is a great function to use. In the demo system, we're also narrowing this down by verticals. So you do have campaign verticals that you can set up within the system as well. So they do have verticals like online, consumer, retail stores, and wholesale as examples here. We also have promotional codes. So when you set up promotions in the system, you can link that promotional code to your campaign. Again, this all goes into those 360 analytics that we get to capture in NetSuite. If this campaign only applied to certain items, we can literally attribute the items here, just like you do in your sales order record. Let me scroll down a little, sorry guys. You could add in your items here, just like you do in any other screen. And that will again track throughout the system by item as well, the campaigns that are attached. Okay, scrolling down a little bit further here. We can schedule our events on our events tab. So we can select our recipients on our events tab. We can target our groups. This is our target group, of course. We can attach templates. So NetSuite does, when I pull this list up, you'll be able to see. We have our templates in the system that we've built that we want to apply to this email campaign. We also have our title, of course, which will just track exactly which one, in this case, of our email newsletters went out. If there is a subscription that is related to it, we can also track that here. It is an email, so we set our channels up to record that. The cost of that particular newsletter for November, it would be $150, and we can track that here. And then the status and the dates, and of course, again, those promotions that are linked to it. So again, if you notice here, we've done the cost of $150 because it is per newsletter that we're tracking it. We're up at the top. Our base cost for the overall campaign is $0. So again, those are important analytics that we capture here. Going into our, oh, by the way, you can also see we would have our direct mail and other events that we can capture here as well. So we've broken this out into our emails. Okay, so let's grab our statistics tab and talk about how important these are. Again, as we've talked in here, when we're setting up our campaigns, definitely want to capture all of those costs at the beginning, the base cost, the expected revenue, and anytime we can, like we did on our events tab, capture any costs associated with anything you do within the system. That's going to be more accurate analytics that you get, but when you go into your statistics tab, all of these statistics you're seeing at the top are automatically calculated. So of course, we have our total revenue. We also have our return on investment. So that's going to be calculated by deducting the cost of the campaign from the total revenue generated and dividing the difference by the campaign's cost. We, of course, have our profit, and this is the profit earned by the campaign, and the profit is calculated by deducting the cost of the campaign from that total revenue. Our cost per lead. Cost per lead is the cost per customer calculated by dividing the total cost of the campaign by the number of the new customers your business gained as a result of that campaign. So again, in NetSuite, when we get new customers, and you'll see this in a minute when we go into the lead tracking, as long as you attach the campaign to your lead, to your opportunity within the system, all of these figures can be generated. But it is incredibly important to capture that throughout the system. So there's ways to go on Suite Answers and just to get a list on Suite Answers and or help of the places that you want to track those campaigns. But once you do, the number of customers is calculated by counting those transactions we just talked about, and that's entered in with the campaign's promotional code. So the cost per purchaser, this is the cost per customer conversion for the campaign, and it's calculated here. And this is calculated by dividing the cost of the campaign with the number of transactions entered with that promotional code on the campaign again. The number of purchasers, this is the number of leads or prospects that have become customers as a result of that campaign. So again, once the leads are generated into customers, the system will capture that and put that back again towards this campaign and these statistics. Of course, leads generated, that is just linked throughout the system, again, by that campaign. And then the unique visitors, this is the number of unique visitors that may have visited your website as a result of the campaign itself. And that is tracked in the system by the links that are generated. So under the communications subtab, again, we can have our notes, any files that might be attached to this, if we have PDFs or anything we want to capture. We also have our keyword section, incredibly important for those of you with that internet marketing department. So this is where you're going to be able to tell the system which browser and search engine, and then put in your keywords. Okay, so now let's take a look at some of the results that we can get if we do what we talked about, which is generating those groups, generating your marketing campaigns, and making sure through the system that you really do track anywhere it says or allows you to link the marketing campaigns with things. Once you link those, you'll be able to get some great reports. We'll go back to our marketing dashboard right now to look at some of these, and let's look at our campaign ROI, for instance. So when I come in here, I'm going to go ahead and I've got some dates with some data, so we'll just leave this. And this allows you to have the ability in NetSuite to track the campaigns from the beginning all the way from the purchases to measure that ROI. And we do have that dynamic ability in this report to drill down at any point here. So anytime you see that hand, I can drill down. Right into the campaign. You can see the leads and purchases generated here. So in our last two columns, we have the number of leads from each campaign. So this is a great overall view to come in and see what's working, what's not, and the return on investment very quickly. This is great because if you're losing money on something, you can see that quickly and put an end to it, or you can bump up any marketing that's really bringing in fast results for you. Okay, we'll look at a couple more real quick. We're going to go on back to that home page again. And under that marketing portlet again, we're going to look at, let's take a look at sales by promotion. Okay, so this is a list of our active promotions, total revenue, transactions, and customers. And if we look at this in our detail, we can see a little bit more detail here on each of them. So we can see any memos, if we have partners associated, quantities and prices, as well as that full amount. Again, great way to look at your promotions, what's working, what's not. Okay, we'll go on back to our home page and look at one more of these before we break out into another fun portion of our demo. So here we're going to go back under our navigation portlet for marketing, and we'll click on our campaign response. All right, in our campaign response report, we have a summarized view of customer responses to find out which methods, again, are working and which ones are not. So you can see here in our groups that we have our direct mail options, email, ads, so on and so forth. So you can really track this and steer your company in the right direction as to what's working for you. I'm going to go ahead and expand on, let's do offline ads here, just to show you how we can drill down into this. And let's click on monthly newsletter. And we'll click on the daily news weekly ad. Okay, and here we can see again that drill down functionality right into the campaign records. And we can again see those statistics really broken down into the further detail. And to roll it all up again, we'll just collapse that. So now that we've seen kind of how our marketing groups, customer groups within the system relate to our campaigns, and we've looked at those reports that you can generate from it. So you can see those on a very broad level or down to the detail to see what is and what is not working for you marketing-wise, again, on that real-time basis. So we appreciate that in NetSuite. But let's kind of go over to another marketing trick here in the system. And we do go into this in our other CRM webinar, but I feel it's important when we're talking about marketing to touch on this here. So we're going to first go ahead and set up or look at some sales rules and territories. And then we're going to link a website to it to see how that funnels back into NetSuite real quick and see how you can use online forms for marketing and how that's automatically going to, again, feed those marketing results within NetSuite. Okay, so to start this, I'm going to go ahead and go to Setup. And I'm going to go to Sales and Marketing Automation. See here, I have wonderful things I can set up. Again, there's our campaigns, verticals, groups, search engines. This is where you can set up your upsells. But we're going to focus on our sales rules. And what we did here is you can set up sales rules. They don't have to be by region. They can be by anything you want in the system. We're going to look at an example that does it by state. But you can see here that fields, let me go back 1 second, that the fields that you set up can vary within NetSuite. So we're just using this as a regional example. So we have set up a West Coast rule. We've attributed that field to tell it it's a state. That's going to be what this rule is going to capture. And then we have selected our criteria for any of these states will be a West Coast state. You define those parameters first with your rules. Again, I'm going to open up a new rule and just show you the different fields you could use. So here is a list of any rule criteria you can establish. You can see that if it's a child company or customer of another one, a company size, you can do things by company size, say credit limit, currency if you want. So any of these options, it's very versatile within the system. Again, this example of our sales rule is strictly territory and attribute state. The next step after we're setting up our territory or our West Coast rule and our sales rule is we're going to set up a territory and attribute that territory. So we're going to go into, again, setup, sales and marketing automation, and manage sales territories. All right, and here we're going to go ahead and click on the Western territory. And this is more, again, possibly for your sales manager, but it definitely feeds into marketing because this is saying that any leads that you get that are defined in this rule, we can now assign them to a sales representative. And that's how you would do that. In NetSuite, if you are doing this, of course, those leads can automatically pop up in that salesperson's NetSuite instance and let them know they have a new lead in real time. So a fantastic way to take advantage of that real-time system within NetSuite. Okay, so as we can see here on our Western sales rule, Alex Wolf is our sales rep and our sales manager in this case, but our sales rep. And that means that anything that comes in from the online lead form we're about to go in and generate is going to default right there to Alex, and he's going to get notification that he has a new lead. Okay, so we've looked at how to set up the rules and how to set up territories if necessary and attribute those leads to our sales team. And now we're going to go ahead and create an online form. And to do that, because of the role I'm in, I'm just going to go in my global search and go to the page Online Customer Forms. And I'm going to just click on Online Customer Forms. Okay, so now we can, let's go ahead and pull up this modern online lead form. And again, I'm pulling this up in edit mode so we can see exactly what we can do with this. So we can attribute a template, of course, at the top after we name this. And your templates are scripts that are set up in the system. You should have the ability as well to default some of them by clicking on the new, but these will be set up in your system first. So this will give you the layout of the page. Also, don't be afraid to look at bundles out there that have the predetermined templates on them. After we attach a template, we're going to look at our Fields tab, and this is where we're saying the information that we want to gather on that template. So we want to gather name, last name, email, all the way down to possibly the subsidiary that this falls into. And even things like company size or name. Please do notice that you have the ability to make any of these fields mandatory on the page. So I'm sure we all know that we don't like filling out too many fields when we're on online forms, but really making sure you set the ones mandatory that are important for you to gather are the most important part here. Okay, and then we also direct the system to update. Over to our right, we have our update customer and update contact. So this is telling NetSuite that when these fields are submitted on our online form, we want the system to automatically update. I do advise that you be very careful with these fields as typos do occur. And if somebody types in their last name incorrectly, perhaps, this could cause a problem within your system. All right, we're going to go on to the Setup Workflow tab. On the Workflow tab, we have defined updates that we want to make to the form within NetSuite, and we're able to set auto replies. See down here. Going to our Setup Appearance tab, we can just select our font. There's not a whole lot of fun stuff going on in this one. Custom code if it applies, of course, if any developers have script files they want to attach. And then our External tab. So our External tab holds the number of requests to our URL and submits, and those are tracked here. And then we're going to go ahead and click on our publishable form URL, and that's going to direct us to this page that we just created. Okay, so we can see here that that template that was set up, again, is assigned by basic script or whatever, but we do have our first name, last name, mandatory fields. I'm going to go ahead and change this. And I'm going to put this in, we'll go to a different area. And we'll submit that form. Oh, company name, of course. I understand that the zip code probably does not match the city, but since it's not mandatory on the city, the system shouldn't catch me on this one. Okay, so that form has submitted. And by the way, this is redirected to Oracle's page because that is a setting in our online form to redirect. What a great option here to have. Once I've done that as a lead, I've gone and I filled that form out, we'll be able to go right back in to NetSuite and look up Billy Bob. There I am, and our contact has been automatically created. The other thing that I want to do is I want to jump into the different role of the US sales rep. So we can see that we now have a new lead as Alex Wolf, the sales rep. And as a sales rep, I can now respond to that. All right, so new leads this month. I'm going to get to it from my KPIs. And I'm going to see right here that, again, on 7/10, that's today, that is my new lead. So it funneled right on into the system and let us know that we do, in fact, have another lead. Okay, so now that we've gone through our online customer forms, we've seen how that information feeds right into NetSuite and allows the system to really harness the 360 capabilities from marketing all the way through to leads. I'm going to go ahead and let's log out of this role and get back into our US and sales manager role. And we're going to look at some of the functionality with commissions. So NetSuite does have the flexibility to accommodate commissions in complex and multi-tiered ways. And we're going to look at this by going, again, on our home page, and we're going to go all the way down to our bottom left corner where we've got shortcuts set up. And from here, we're going to go ahead and look at commission setup. It is very finicky about this because it is commissions, and so NetSuite is overly secure. You're going to see my system reconfirming my login quite a few times on the commissions, but just think of it as kind of a security blanket, if you will. Okay, so the first field that we have here is commissions paid by default. And this is where we would specify the basis on which the system is going to calculate that commission. Commissions can be calculated based on billings and bookings, collections, or a mix of those. And you will be able to set these up just by going to the commissions paid. Commission eligibility period. This is where we're going to specify right here how many days must elapse before billing or payment. And that depends, of course, on the selection above. Before the sale is eligible for commissions, that's if needed. Default employee commission expense account, and then we can just specify what account will track all those commission expenses in. So once our commission parameters are set, we're going to go back to our home screen. And we're going to again go down to that shortcut panel in the bottom left. And I'm going to go to employee commission plans. Okay, and just to take a look at how one is set up here, I'm going to go ahead and open this percentage sales plus warranty kicker. And this is a great idea for a great example of a commission plan that incorporates both the percentage of a sales transaction, which many companies use that as a way to pay commissions, but again, an add-on, if you will. So not only in this situation am I paying somebody a commission based on the percentage that they sold, but I'm also saying, hey, if you sell in addition a warranty for this, you'll get an extra kicker in your commission. So this, again, is a great way to show and display for you guys a multi-tiered commission plan. So the schedules in the plan tab right here have all the commission schedules that are used to calculate this commission. And the first thing I'm going to do is right-click on the percentage sales transactions, and I'm going to open this in a new window so we can take a look at it. Okay, so in this example, we can see that the commission percent is at certain levels. So down here where you see the setup at the bottom, you're going to see that we have our commission total. For the amount of 0, it's 0%. For the amount of 2,000, it's 5%, and it goes up from there. This is a great basic percent of sales transaction commission schedule. All of these schedules are first set up, of course, under setting up commission schedules, and then they're going to be attached to your commission plan. So that would be the order these go in, of course. But we'll go back and let's take a look at our warranty kicker and how that's set up. So again, this is a different commission schedule, and this is separate for the warranty. We attached both of those separate schedules to the same plan. You can see here that we've selected this as a service because it's warranty as our item type, and we set up these as service items in the system first. And then we were able to say, okay, if you sell this service item in addition on your order, then you will also get the designated percentage attached. Going back to our commission plan, now that we've attached both of those schedules to it, we're going to click on our sales reps on plan. And this is simply where you attribute the sales reps in your system to each one. And on the transaction calculations, we have a recent history of the monetary calculations for commission payments to our sales reps that are assigned to the plan. And this really gives management that full visibility into the current rate of those sales incentives and the compensation, and as well a good look at who's performing on which ones without having to go through an entire report. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, wait, one more, period calculations. So within a certain given period, you could also view your calculations here. Okay, so with that, I'm going to close up and hand this back over to Joanne, and then we'll revisit questions when you're ready.
All right, let me just go ahead and take control back. And thank you so much for a great presentation, Jen. As she said, we're going to wrap up with a Q&A session in just a minute. So for those of you who would like to go ahead and submit them, you can do so through the console at this time. Let's see, do I have control? Did you pass that to me, Jen?
Coming now.
All right, thank you. Perfect, there we go. All right. So for those of you who would like to submit questions, go ahead and do so through those question and answer panel on your console. I did see a couple come through. Today's webcast was part of our ongoing educational webcast series, and I have the schedule of upcoming events for you on the screen now. If you would like to register for any of these webcasts, you can do so at getgsi.com/webcasts. We do have a couple of other educational resources in addition to the webcast. We also put out monthly newsletters. They give great content, articles, current technology, tips and tricks, that kind of thing. We also have our resource center where we do upload recordings of all of our webcasts, as well as case studies, white papers, and a lot more. As a note, you will be receiving an email after this presentation with a link to the resource center, as well as a PDF copy of the presentation. And with that, I think we'll go ahead and move on to the Q&A session. The first question, Jen, says, does NetSuite have opportunity forecasting capabilities?
So yes, we absolutely do. Again, that's in the other part of our webinar series. But I can, if it's okay, I'm just going to go ahead and show for one more second, if you wouldn't mind passing me the screen.
Sure, absolutely.
And I'll show you a great place where you guys can go and get started just by viewing some of that we didn't go over today. Can you see?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So again, and this is standard in the demo role, but your sales and operations, if you go into sales forecast, and you can also get there from your reports and forecasts. So this is going to give you all of the opportunity-related reports native in the system. And then again, you can kind of play around with those a little bit, and feel free to go in and look at our recorded webinars on the other one, or look out for our upcoming one. We'll go into great detail on how to make sure you capture all those opportunity results in your sales forecast.
All right, fantastic. And if anybody has questions or wants to take a deeper dive, please feel free to reach out to myself or Jen, and we can get a call scheduled for you. Let's see, we have another question, and it says, what is the future product strategy for NetSuite versus Oracle's already existing Fusion products on the cloud? Not sure if you want to take that, Jen.
Well, what I can respond to with it is that's a great question, and we can certainly reach out and see what Oracle might have to say about that. But what I can tell you is it's full steam ahead right now with NetSuite, and that is what my particular focus is on. I don't have I don't have the Oracle or Fusion side of things, but NetSuite is definitely full steam ahead and incorporating, even more with the CRM as it's going forward. So look out for some more exciting things there. Maybe it will fuse with it. Fusion.
And I can second that. I was out at Sweet World, and they're definitely still, developing the product, planning on coming out with the 2 releases a year. And from what I understand, they're focusing on NetSuite serving the small to mid-size business space, and having Fusion, or I think they've rebranded it Oracle ERP, back to more of the enterprise level organizations, for simpler sort of clarification. But
hey, good to know.
Let's see. And then one last question that I see, for the commission rates, can you set greater than or less than parameters? For example, under 50,000 would be 3% and over 50,000 would be 5%.
Yes. So if you guys remember that one screen we looked at where it said 0 to 2,000, that's kind of how your over-unders work on that quantity. So you would set your initial one as the 0, and then your next level, your next quantity you would set at, let's say, 5,000, and that would take care of your over-under. So anything under or between 0 and 5,000 would fall at your 0 commission rate, or if you had another level in there. But you use those volume parameters to set the over-unders. Does that make sense? Maybe not. I can send out some documentation as a follow-up if needed.
All right. Well, that looks like the end of the questions. As I said, if anybody does have any follow-up or wants, kind of more of a personalized conversation, we'd be more than happy to set that up for you. My contact information and Jen's is on the screen for you now. But I also want to mention that at the end of this webcast, when you log out, it will take you to a brief survey. If you could go ahead and fill that out, it takes about a minute. Really gives us some great feedback on our webcast, so we can continue to improve on them in the future. But also, you will go in a drawing to win a $25 Amazon gift card. So there is incentive in it for all of you. But with that, unless Jen, if you have anything else, we'll go ahead and call it a day.
That would be it. Thank you all for your time.
Thanks, everyone. We'll see you on the next webcast. Bye-bye.